Hey guys, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how I made this Nightmare Before Christmas present eating snake. So I know that this is a very unique idea, video, tutorial thing. So today's video is going to be showing you how I made this snake. So I am going to tell you guys you do need to know how to sew. You could hand sew this, but I can't imagine how long that would take. The total time of making the snake was a couple of hours for me. So I did use my sewing machine. You don't need to be an expert seamstress or anything. If you can do a straight stitch and if you know what seam allowance is, you can do this. So I will be walking you through the steps. The only thing I'm not showing you is me actually physically at my sewing machine, but that's because it's literally just a straight stitch, like sewing a straight line. So I did cut those parts out just to speed up the video a little bit, but I am going to walk you through all the other steps. Also in the description box below, I do have the measurements of each stripe as well as kind of an overview of the snake and the measurements that go along with it, just trying to give you guys as much resource as I can to help you make one of your own. This snake does work really, really well. I did stuff it with extra presents just to see how full I could make it, and I think that this is a really cool concept and just kind of a fun thing. And I will tell you guys, if I had kept this for myself, I think that this looks so cute underneath the Christmas tree, like consuming the presents wrapping around the tree. You could even have it like go up into your tree if you wanted to, or you could put it on the top of your tree like as a tree topper and have it like coming down eating the tree. There's like a lot of really cool things you could do with this. So without blabbering on any more than I am, let's jump into the tutorial.
Okay, so to start off, you are going to need a ruler of some kind. I am going to be using a rotary blade and a cutting mat, as well as a disappearing ink marker that I got from Walmart. That's just to make sure that my lines are straight. You absolutely can do this with scissors, but it is a lot easier if you have a cutting mat and a rotary blade. So starting off by making sure that my fabric is laying as flat as possible, I'm going to line my ruler up and I'm going to start cutting my strips into 4-inch segments. So I got a yard of black fabric that's very stretchy, jersey material, and a yard of orange, both from Amazon, and I will have them linked in the description box below. And I am just going ahead and cutting my strips. I do have the complete list of the strips and how many sizes you need, of what length, and all of that in the description box, as well as kind of a diagram of the snake just to help you guys know how much to cut. But I don't want to tell you wrong right now, so I would use the attachments below as a guide for how much you should cut. So for the head, I'm using what I have left of my orange fabric first, and I'm going to fold it in half and then fold it in half one more time. So it should be folded into fourths long ways, and then I am going to just freehand the head. I just kind of pulled up a reference picture on my phone. Again, this doesn't really need to be perfect. I think the most important thing is that it is a very long and slender head. My head's a little bit fat, but I thought it was better for the fact that I want to be putting presents inside of this. And then I'm checking my edges just to make sure that I am going to be able to cut it with all the layers, and using my rotary blade to do that. The reason you need to fold it 4 times is because you do need a top and a bottom. And then I'm taking it, I pinned it down to my black fabric, and I'm using it as my guideline to cut it out of the black fabric as well. This can be a little tricky because the fabric does roll on the edges, so just go slow, take your time. I would say to trace this onto the fabric maybe using a silver Sharpie or something like that, but I didn't want it to show afterward. So just kind of your call. I just used this as a guideline and I thought that it worked well. And now I'm going to remove the pins because I need to separate these and then repin them together to have an orange top and a black bottom. So basically I'm making the inside of the snake's mouth black and the top of his head is orange, like the images that I found online. I did slice off the connection between the head, if that makes sense. So like it was one piece when you unfolded it, and I just kind of cut it down the middle to make it 4 separate pieces. So you should have 2 orange pieces and 2 black pieces when this is all done. And then you can pin together the orange and the black piece of the top of the head first, and then you'll take it to your sewing machine and stitch it together. I do want to point out it's important that you do not stitch the bottom of the head where it would connect to the neck. You are only stitching around the edge, but do not stitch where the neck meets the head. So this is what it looked like once I had it all stitched together, and then this edge above my seam was quite large because I used a 5/8 inch seam allowance, so I did go in with my scissors and trim off the excess before continuing. Originally I had just planned on putting stuffing inside of this, but it wasn't giving it the shape that I wanted because this fabric is so flexible. So I did go in with some poster board, I traced the head and then cut it out to give my head some shape. And I did that for the bottom part as well as the top part of the head. And I'm going to show you how I did that here. So now I'm placing that inside of the sleeve essentially that I created, and then I'm going in with the stuffing and fluffing up the head a little bit just to make it a little bit more 3D. Again, with this stretchy fabric, you kind of have to add a good bit, but I am mailing this to somebody, so I didn't want it to take up 90% of the box. And then now that I have all of my stripes cut out, please ignore the seam down the middle. I had a total just brain fart and did something dumb that I'm not even going to show you because honestly, I basically like made an extra step for myself. So pretend that these are all one piece, and basically you're going to put an orange stripe and a black stripe right sides together, and then you're going to pin them across the top and stitch across the top of the stripe. Do not stitch the sides yet because you're going to want to attach all the stripes together, and then we will fold it in half. This is what the 2 stripes should look like when you have them all pinned at the top together. This jersey material doesn't really have like a front and a back. I just picked the sides that I liked more. And then I took these over to my sewing machine and just stitched at the top layer. And now I'm going to show you guys a little bit more advanced into the process.
Okay guys, so this is kind of where I'm at right now. I have, oh look how it's flip-flop. I have sewn the bottom of the tail, and then this is the next piece that I'm going to work on. So I've already pinned it into place, like right sides together, obviously, and then I'll stitch at the top and then fold this up and then pin, sew, 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 all the way back to here. I have also done this part, which is going to be kind of like the mid section. It's the largest section of the snake, and once I have all these pieces, then these will be combined, and then I will have the majority of it complete. I do have a few stripes that are going to go here and kind of shrink back down to create the neck of the snake, and then I have to attach the head, which we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so just giving you guys kind of the zoomed in version, but I'm taking my next 2 stripes. I'm going to go ahead and pin these right sides together just like I showed you from before. This fabric is really great because it's stretchy, which is why I picked it, because I wanted to be able to stretch it around larger presents that I'm going to be putting inside of the snake. But the downside is that the ends do roll, so if you are smart, you will take the time to probably iron out your fabric a little bit. I'm not, so I did not. But you can pin it in place, you just kind of have to be patient with it and take your time. Once I have these 2 pinned together, I'm going to move on to the next 2, and the next 2, and the next 2, and then go stitch those on my sewing machine.
Okay, so I know it looks the exact same, but it's not. So these 4 were already there.
I sewed together these two, those two, those two, those two, and then I added a little stripe onto the end of the tail. So now I'm going to continue this. I know that some of these don't look nice. It's because the fabric's like rolling and bunching and stuff, but it'll look good when it's all assembled. But next I'm going to attach these two, and these two. And then I will only have 3 pieces left to attach to each other. And then I just have to do that end and attach the head. Okay, I am now down to 3 sections. And I will tell you guys I messed up right here. This was supposed to go over here, and I switched it. So I'm actually just gonna trim this and make it connect, because the thing is I'm gonna be sewing at an angle down toward the tail anyway, so I really don't think it's gonna make it that big of a difference. And I don't want to risk putting a hole in this fabric because it's so stretchy. I'm kind of afraid to seam rip it if I don't absolutely have to. So moving on to the next step. Okay, so all the pieces are attached. I'm sure I already mentioned this, but I did end up having to seam rip this piece and flip it because I didn't even realize the fact that it would mess up the pattern if I had left it that way. So everything's attached, and now I'm going to show you guys the next step. So now that you have the body assembled, you're going to need to do the top half of it. So I cut the rest of my strips for this part, and this part I did make a lot shorter than I had originally planned just because the snake was already so massive. So again, use the measurement guide that I have linked in the description box below along with the diagram. And these stripes now need to be sewn together and then attached to the body, and then the very last thing I will do is attach those to the head. Okay, I have the snake folded in half, and I have pinned all along the top to make sure that the edges are lined up. And then what I'm now going to do is take this back upstairs to my sewing machine, and I'm gonna kind of sew freehand, and oh god, I hope it turns out good. But I'm gonna go up and then kind of follow the line of pins that I made and go back down and then put it into a point at the very end. And then I will come back and show you guys how I'm going to attach the head. So I have it all stitched, and I'm just going to go in and trim off the excess behind the stitch. Like right here, I'm going to cut all that extra off. Okay, so I did want to show you guys how I'm doing this. Please ignore the ginormous mess at my feet. I'm so sorry. But I'm tucking in the fabric like this, and then I'm gonna sew it on top so that the seam's a little bit prettier. But that's the good thing about having all this excess fabric with this like cardboard inside. So I'm gonna do that for both sides and then attach it to the body. And then I'm just gonna kind of give you guys a quick overview. So here's the whole body, like in this pile of bags. And then I have to literally just pin it to the head. It will look like that once I've stitched it. So just like that, and then I'm just gonna stitch. So this is what it looked like once I had it all attached, and I'll be honest with you guys, this is not a perfect science. I basically just pinned it in place, made it look how I liked, made sure that it could open and close. It does stretch a good bit, and the thing is, you guys want to make sure that you do not sew this gap closed, because then you really won't be able to fit a good size present in there. Like if you pinched this all the way closed, you could only fit like a card inside. So if you're wanting to fit actual presents in here, make sure that you leave that gap for yourself. So next for the eyes, I had these 2 little foam styrofoam balls. You could also get some ping pong balls from Dollar Tree. They come in a 6-pack for $1. And then I'm taking a black Sharpie and drawing on the pupils because that's what it looks like. And then to attach the eyes, I'm literally just putting hot glue on the back of the foam ball and then firmly pressing it down onto the head. The eyes on this snake really do like bulge out, so it kind of works to your advantage as a crafter. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you guys me filling this with gifts. Just to show you it does actually work. You do have to like pull the body toward you to get stuff all the way into the bottom of the tail, and then obviously think about it like logically, if you have long skinny presents, I would put those in first, or small ones, and then that larger part of the body save for the bigger gifts. But I thought this came out so cute, even just as a decor item. Even if you don't have somebody to gift this to, it looks so cute around the tree. You could even tuck it up into your tree or put it up on the top of your tree, and it does actually hide gifts. So I hope you guys liked this tutorial. Leave me a comment below if you did, and I will see you tomorrow for my next day of Vlogmas. Bye guys.